He's not an even keeled detective.
One of my favorite scenes is still like, we're being watched. And he jumps up and, what do you want? Wants to know why you're talking to a rock? You know, I love the fact that we kind of did push that. And somebody asked me earlier, you know, there's so much humor in this. How do you make Batman funny? And really, it goes from the top down. I mean, from the writing, it's on the page, and there's the old stage adage, you know, if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. And you guys have done such a wonderful job of just like, from the top down, building us something that, see what I did there? That you provide us a playground that really all we have to do is just step into the booth and just kind of read what's there for us. And that's been one of my favorite parts is seeing incredible writing from this, first of all, but then I gotta get out of the way because really I'm just, Batman is kind of like the Dean Martin with just a bunch of Jerry Lewis's running around, and I love that most of our audience is sub 10 years old and has no idea what I'm talking about. But, you know, Batman he's the straight guy, and everybody else is having all these, I mean, I love Car Payton as Cyborg, he's hilarious, he's just so over the top, which is really kind of Kari's personality. But everybody that's on this, like you said, Jim, we had so much fun doing this, and that comes through. But really, the humor from Batman is just, you know, being broody.
You know, just to speak to the collaboration, if you write a line like, you know, who goes there for Batman, there's nothing funny about that. But then some people, Troy will make that funny. And then Brandon's team will come in and not only does he say it funny, but he has Batman do this.
Yeah.
Nobody wrote this. This comes later. I get to watch it and go, that's fantastic. I'm a genius.
It is a collaboration. I think you were underplaying it a little bit. You guys really helped us figure out the characters. When we sit down to start writing comedy Batman, that's a difficult thing. Because you want to do that right. You want to make sure you're laughing with him and not at him, and it's so, you have to be so careful in figuring out the comedy. You guys really, you would come into the room and you would give us unexpected reads for the lines that you wrote. Sometimes you would ad-lib things that we hadn't quite thought of before, and all of that becomes part of the character.
You know what? It struck me while watching it. This is what happens behind the scenes of every, like Justice League or Young Justice or one of the shows. When the microphones aren't rolling, that's how all of us are. We're staying in these characters and joking around. This is that on screen, which is great. It's like the fun parts of the character.
And typically we go, you didn't record any of that. We will work after this job.
The other part about that is that actors are they're in a glass booth like fish, and they don't know that we can hear everything they say, so we're outside, we're at the controls laughing, you know.
Here's the question. I guess this is for Troy, but you guys could answer too. What does Batman have against Superman? What did Superman ever do to Batman? Why doesn't he trust him?
Here's the thing. I think I will be honest with you, and this stays in the room, I swear. A little bit jealous of the flying. That's always been a thing. I love the fact, and this is what I love specifically about what Lego can do is, you know, we've got 75 years, and in some ways over 75 years of history within the DC universe to explore. And so the thing that I love about Lego is that we have the ability to pull from, in Batman's case, we can pull from '66 Batman with Adam West, we can pull from the graphic novels, we can pull from Tim Burton, and everything is up for grabs. So when you actually look at like the Batman versus Superman, that whole storyline, it's really, really dark in the graphic novel series, and there's been a couple of adaptations, whether it be for some of the animated things that we've done, or there's a movie, I think, coming about something with this, I don't know. But, you know, we get to pull from that and present it in our own way, and from kids from all ages, you know, it's like Ringling Brothers, Arnold and Paley thing, you know, whether you be 8 years old or 800 years old, you can still get your hands around this and have fun with this, and it's not a derivative of it, it makes sense. It's like Batman versus Superman, and I love the fact that in the graphic novel series, Batman has a black box for everybody. Like, he can take out at any point, push the panic button on Superman or Wonder Woman or Green Lantern or anybody.
Mine's a banana peel.
There's that.
Don't tell Uncle.
So I love that we're able to take kind of these darker storylines and present them in a different way and still have that nugget of truth that is true to the original comic book stories. But you know, he's a Boy Scout, and you know, Batman likes to be dark and broody. Look at the colors. It's the dark and the gray and the black and the dark and the gray and the black. So yeah, but I think it all comes down to the flying. I'll yield my remaining time to the floor.
Yeah, Batman's a cautious guy. We just cranked that up to 50.
And James and Troy, when you're creating the role for this character or any project, what's it like? What kinds of steps do you take? I guess vocal practice to come up with what you want to do.
Yes, you know, it's all in the voice.
What's your process?
My process? When I come to a role such as the Flash.
You know, the great thing, I mean, for me, I've been very fortunate to be like, you know,
Fred Flintstone, yeah, but Dabba do.
or Johnny Test, who's 11 years old and totally awesome, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, and all these characters are different people, they're different voices. I actually get to be me in this. I'm just the Flash, and Desaad is just, again, a kind of a hyper version of me. So it was really fun to be able to go, now I just get to kind of act and not worry about staying within a box of voice. It was just be the Flash. And I grew up loving the Flash. My favorite superhero is the Flash. So it was like, I love that he talks fast. Everything he does is fast, and it's just all about that. It just made sense for me. But you're just, I mean, you're Batman. I was saying, Troy is Batman. Look at him. This is Batman. Bruce Wayne right here.
I'm like hipster Williamsburg version. so over it. I don't know.
You're like a total billionaire.
Like, it's like whatevs, I guess. I was like into this before it was cool. It's like a 79 Pinto is now the Batmobile just because it's like whatevs. No, you know, for me, I mean, I have the freedom again to pull from. There's times where we're like, let's dial up the Bale, you know, a little bit. Let's pull out that Keaton, and pretty much anytime you hear that, I'm Batman. Yeah. You know, it's like we're gonna. One of the most iconic phrases ever was when Michael Keaton did that in '89 Batman. So we get to pull from stuff like that, and we get to, you know, Kevin Conroy is and always will be my Batman. So there's always going to be a little bit of Kevin Conroy in what I do, and that's a total, you know, self-service, fan service homage to him. But we get to just play with this, and pretty much again with Batman, anything goes. As long as it's dark and broody and funny, then we get to do kind of whatever we want.
And Brandon and Jim, in this one, not only do you have those characters, but for most of them you have the Bizarro versions. So how did you come up with what the tweaks would be between Batman and Bizarro, and Superman and Bizarro, and Wonder Woman, whatever their counterpart's name was?
Bizarro. Well, it all started with Bizarro, of course. I think we worked him out the most. Of course, he was going to be just the exact opposite of Superman, and then how does Superman feel about that? I think that was really where the story started, was playing the opposites and really focusing on how Superman feels about this guy running around who's the opposite of him and just really kind of ruining his reputation. And then, you know, trying to apply that oppositeness to every character of the Justice League, and then just see how the other Justice Leaguer would react to this. And it was just a lot of fun for us to play that out.
It was the most fun seeing all of them come in and do. They were more excited about being their Bizarro character. Like the Flash wasn't Bizarro in this, but it's like Nolan North as Superman, and then Nolan North as Bizarro Superman. That's just Nolan. Bizarro.
I noticed, I don't know what this was, it's not like some Juilliard thing that we all tapped into, but all of us, whenever we did like the Bizarro versions of ourselves, would immediately go to C hands, and we do this. It's like this somehow dumbed the performance down for all of us, but you would see everyone just go, I don't know why we do this. Helping you, sure, why not? That was like the uniform thing that we all did, completely subconsciously. It was a beautiful process.
Yes,
James, I'm not sure when you're...
Wonderful to watch.
Do you make the C hands when you do a dumb character? I'm not sure.
Flash running.
And this is for everyone here. I know that this is a job for you, but I'm sure when you were kids, being into superheroes and Legos and all that was amazing, and you thought maybe someday you'd get to work in it. And I bet there are some kids here who might someday want to have jobs like these. So tell us, what are some of your favorite parts about working on a movie like this?
Good, Jim.
Well, I will tell you honestly that when this project came up, you know, there was scuttlebutt around Warner Brothers Animation, and I pushed hard to get involved with with the Lego Justice League because I have a son, and right when these were starting, he was obsessed with Lego. Like a fair amount of my income went to Lego. And this is somehow it's diverted so much because they gave us prices. I won't lie about that. So it takes a shockingly long time to make these, and so like
He's in college now.
Well, no, like this Christmas rolls around, and I'm like emailing my friend at Lego, and because I'm trying to impress my son. I was like, so what Lego set do you want this year? He's like, I'm kind of over it.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
It turns out you're not. My nephew told me that like sometimes for like 10 minutes you think you're too cool for Lego, and then it comes back. This is something that the Danes who own Lego, evidently it's not individual Lego bricks are Lego, they're not Legos. I got in a lot of trouble for that. So it's Lego. Like ninja.
There are no ninjas.
Yeah.
Surrounded by a ninja.
It's so much cooler when you say it as well.
That's how it works. It's so much cooler when they say it.
I am a ninja fighting ninja.
Oh, wait a second.
Multiple. No, there's one.
Did you guys grow up with Lego? Did you love Lego?
Oh man, I was obsessed with Lego, and see, I said it right. And I still am, and my daughter is now. And now they got like Friends. Are there girls in here? You know the Friends, Lego Friends. Those are fantastic. They're pink and purple. I'm like, wow. But
could there be any more bricks?
yeah, it's fantastic. But to be these characters, it's kind of a dream come true. And, you know, when you get that phone call and it's like, you're going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're like, what? You're going to be Batman. It's like, you know, I mean, the Joker, by the way, you know, Mark Hamill said, if somebody else is going to play the Joker, it's got to be Troy Baker, because he did a fantastic job as the Joker. But to get to play both, it's like you were saying, it's like, how cool is that fun? Do you have those conversations as yourself, as both?
Oh, man.
Could we prompt you to give us a little Joker? Yeah, they're sharing a cab, yeah.
You realize that we're splitting this fare.
Oh, I'm going to kill the driver.
No, I mean, exactly right. I mean, any chance that you get to work, I mean, when you're in an industry where 90% of the workforce is unemployed and you get a job, it's a win. And when you're asked to come back and do it, you're like, well, apparently I wasn't that terrible, you know. But it's been so much fun to do this character. And honestly, I love the fact that we get to operate inside this universe where we do get to have some laughs. We do get to take some license and liberties that we normally wouldn't. And I grew up with Lego, and I grew up with these graphic novels and comic books and the cartoons of all the iterations that there have been, and the movies over the years. And it's really cool. Like this Christmas, I sat down with my nephew, who's 5 years old, and we were putting together the Batcave. And there's the awesome motorcycle that Batman has, and then there's Bane's like twisty device, bad car, whatever. It's a big vehicle thing. They have moving gears inside of them now. It's like, you know, I needed to go to MIT and get like an engineering degree to put this together, and I'm struggling. I'm like beads of sweat going down, and my nephew's like, savant. And what I love about this too is like I'm sitting there and I'm like, what do you think, Bane? And he goes, why are you doing that? I'm Batman. With this thing, which is obviously the little, you know, go with it. You're not. It's like, I'm Batman. No, that's Batman. And he points to the screen, or he points to the box, or he points to the thing. He's like, stop doing that. So there's a lot of self-satisfaction that I get from it, but I love the fact that this character is so real to kids and to adults. And I loved hearing you guys laugh at all the right moments, and some of the ones where I'm like, oh wow, that was funny, wasn't it? So to be able to sit here in the theater and work with these guys and to hang out with you guys, and you realize that we're all just a bunch of goofy fans about this as well, is these are the days that you dreamt about as a kid when you say, I want to be an actor. Your parents were like, oh no, please don't. So you were wrong, Mom and Dad. These people are here to tell you why.
When you guys are out and about, say, placing an order for coffee or something, do people hear your voice and say, I know you from somewhere?
You know, there's a movie called I Know That Voice. And
Excellent documentary.
Yeah, and you do get that every once in a while. I remember I was at a Subway once, and there was a commercial playing on the radio, and it was my voice. And I'm like, hey, nobody's going to believe that. It doesn't matter.
Oh, is that you? I said, did you want cheese on this?
Yeah. It's a different world being a voice actor, and at Comic-Con or Star Wars Celebration or Star Wars Weekends, those events you go to, and for those moments, you get to be a rock star.
Right.
You know, and that's pretty fun, because people then stop you and ask for an autograph and everything. It's fun, but it's nice also to be able to just kind of walk down the street and be whomever, you know. I like to just talk like this, or to pretend I'm from England. Just like, do you do that, Sean?
No.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy because like nerd culture again has started to rise up into, you know, I never wanted to be the mainstream. I don't want to be like, no, we're nerds. But it's cool that, you know, I was in the store the other day and someone just kind of passes by and they're like, you know, I really like your work. And I immediately go, what are you talking about? Because like you say, we have this, you know, beauty of anonymity. We're not walking around with like, oh my God, so-and-so just walked in. People are like, I don't care. Do voices or whatever. But it's been cool, and people are always gracious whenever they do recognize it. And you know, again, when it's something like this, where they're like, hey man, I sat down with my kid, and we watched this, and we both were laughing. So we'll let you know that you do a good job. That's always great to hear. But yes, I will definitely. What's really fun is to like go through a drive-thru and you order in one voice and you pick up it. And so you're like,
No, I would like 2 double-decker tacos.
and you go, you're like, so that was $4.75, I believe. They're like, good, white face, big grin. So
Gives new meaning to happy meal.
yeah.
All right, so if anyone in the audience has any questions, we can shift over to that now. I believe there are microphones. So down here in the red.
Right.
$10 as she trips. I'm joking. Why did you take the bet?
Hi. First, love your socks.
Thank you. Life is too short to wear boring socks.
And what would be a first step? I know you said 90% are unemployed, but what would be a first step in trying to become a voice actor?
Okay, D. Bradley Baker, who's one of the most talented voice actors, creature vocalizations, whatever, in the business. He does everything. D has a website, iwannabeavoiceactor.com. Go there. You can also buy the book from Yuri Lowenthal and Tara Platt, his wife. They wrote a book together, Voice Over Voice Actor. You can go to voiceovervoiceactor.com and subscribe to their stuff. It's all free there. You can buy the book. It's very inexpensive. They'll even sign it for you. And it explains all the ins and outs, because it really is. It's a small community of us that work it, but it's also growing. And there's a great appreciation due to people like yourselves that really know through video games, through animation, how to get into it. So those would be the first steps, I would say. I think they're wonderful.
That is the best answer I've ever heard at any of these panels, because usually it's like, keep trying. Believe in yourself. You know, that was like something real.
The difference between being a voice actor and being an on-camera actor is nobody goes up to Johnny Depp and goes, you know, people tell me that I look good and I could do some on-camera work. People go up to us every day and go, people say, I have a good voice, I should be doing this or whatever. And most people are very sincere about it, and so you want to give them information because we all really love our work, and it is some of the funnest, best work to do. So there's a lot of great resources, so it's like, yeah, you want to have them at the ready.
I would also say to this, I mean, you are in, I don't know if you know this or not, but New York is kind of known for theater. There's a couple of them down the street. You know, it's always, having a voice it's a toolbox, right? You're going to open up your tool and one day I'm going to sound like this, one day I'm going to do this. But at the core of it, you really want to know not what you can sound like, but when somebody comes in and they give you one word for direction, make it angrier. You're like, well, what does that mean, louder? It's like, I don't know, you show me what angry means. So, and this one thing that Dee says especially is, at the core of it, you want to focus on being an actor. The voice, it'll come, because there's so many people who thought that Gilbert Gottfried would have a great voice.
That's great. I just want to do it.
But at the same time, he knows how to make choices. He's this great actor. So focus on the acting. Learn the business end of a mic, because that's certainly something that you're going to have to understand. There's some technique and things, but at one point or another, we've all been idiots in that room going, I don't know what to do. But as long as you can find something in that character that's unique to you, and you can find the voice in that, I'm not talking about this, but like what that character is really trying to say, that will be the best advice to that.
And know your own voice.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you got to do a bunch first. Know
We
yours.
already have a meat wad. We don't need any more. We don't need any more of that. Who else has a question?
Who? Down here, in the black.
I'm currently going to FIP for computer animation, and I was wondering if there's any advice, I guess, as I approach graduation, how to start out in the field and where to begin.
D. Bradley Baker has a no.
That is a great question. Computer animation. I will tell you, we animated all of this in China, so we didn't actually do any of the.
So sorry.
How do you feel about communism?
Do you design as well, or are you focusing on animation?
Yeah, animation, design, storyboarding, Flash.
Great. All that pre-production stuff we do here. Storyboard. You can, obviously there's a lot of classes you can take, but in terms of actually kind of breaking in, it's just a matter of showing up, showing your stuff around, getting portfolios into the studios. Meet people. What I tell a lot of people now, artists trying to get into the business, is there's a lot of us online, on Twitter, on DeviantArt, on Facebook. You can find a lot of professional artists online, blogs or whatever. They're often very nice. They like to be contacted. If you're a polite person, you can be cool.
Give me a job!
Yeah. You know, they can, you can establish a relationship with them. And I think that helps you get in, is like if you can just meet people. Keep showing your stuff. Show that you really want to do this, and you just keep coming at people and coming at people in, again, a very respectful and cool way. And just that tenacity, I think you just need that to break in. But I think, you know, the people like myself that can give the jobs, like, we like to see that. We want to know we're going to hire somebody who's just going to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying to get it right. So I hope that helps.
Internships too, maybe.
Internships,
What I
yeah,
always notice,
absolutely.
the intern on a show you're on one year, the next year it's like, hey, weren't you the intern?
Yeah.
Because you feel comfortable hiring someone that you don't hate.
And that's a great way to get into, because with the interns, yes, you end up maybe doing copies, you end up doing things that aren't as artistic, you may not enjoy it, but you've got access to a studio full of like really talented people. You can talk to them, they'll teach you stuff, and you learn the business kind of from the bottom up, and it's...
Most of the greatest started in this industry.
And it's just a great way to learn, as opposed to just getting your first job and having to hit the ground running. It's a nice kind of soft, easy start. And again, then you make all those contacts and form relationships, and you learn at this professional level, but kind of from the shadows.
And you get your parents to pay for your
Or move to China.
What were your first jobs in animation?
I was at a film school in California, and I spent all my early adult life in film school. I went to NYU here, go Violets, and then I went to, when I couldn't get a job after a couple of years, I went to graduate school in California, and I made a Spider-Man parody here at NYU that someone had seen by the time I was in graduate school, and they hired me on the Spider-Man, the Fox Spider-Man series, and so I started. I know
all the kids from the 90s go,
wow! It was pretty cool. I mean, like I was in school and I was already writing, and but it was so shocking because I'd done 6 years of film school, and then suddenly it was like, and we're going to need that Friday. And I spent 4 years of whenever your muse takes you on this journey of writing. And so I was like, so this Friday then, okay. And that's probably one of the biggest things you learn.
What about you, Brandon? My first job was in '97, working for Bruce Timm on the new Batman Superman adventures.
Perhaps you've seen that.
I started as a storyboard artist and character designer. I was actually trying to get into comics, and I was sort of doing an animated style, sort of my version of Bruce's style, really, because I was such a big fan of Batman the Animated Series, which maybe you've heard of. And so I saw an ad, actually. They were starting up the new Batman Superman adventures, and they had put an ad out looking for artists that they could train. And so on a whim, I'm like, well, this will never happen. But I sent in some stuff anyway, because you never know what's going to happen until you try. And sure enough, I got the job, and I learned everything that I know about animation from that crew, from Bruce, from Glenn Murakami, Butch Lukic, all legendary directors and producers at Warner Brothers now. So that was my way in.
Awesome. Any other questions? In the red hoodie over here?
I love it. Every time someone can be dressed as like Darth Vader. Like Darth Vader in the middle of
What were some of your favorite cartoons that inspired you to get into, voice acting or storyboards or producing, those kinds of things?
I mean, you just nailed it. I used to rush home every day from school and watch Batman the Animated Series. That was the last cartoon that came on in the afternoon. Before it was Tiny Toons, then it was Animaniacs, and then it was Batman.
I could adopt you.
Yeah.
No, I was in high school. In 6th grade. I would rush home every day to watch that, and this is before we were talking about this last night in the car, explain TiVo to somebody who was born before 1990, or after 1990. Never mind. There's math involved. But, we didn't have TiVo, we didn't have these things on, even cassette or DVD. They came on at this time, and you didn't know what episode it was going to be. I saw it. It didn't matter. All I cared about mainly was I wanted to hear that theme song. So that was my first, I grew up watching cartoons, but I didn't put Don Messick and all those guys. I didn't know who those people were. It was Scooby-Doo, and that was all these guys. But I remember watching the credits for Batman the Animated Series, and I remember that time during for Warner Brothers, this golden age of animation for them. It was Tiny Toons Animaniacs, Batman and Robin, and Andrea Romano was the name that you saw in all of them. And I remember we finally got a VCR, and I would record them, and I would press pause so that I could catch it with the wavy lines and really distort the image. Who these people were that were the voices. And I was like, Kevin Conroy is Batman. Got it. There was no IMDb, you couldn't look this up. I was like, Mark Hamill is the Joker. Isn't that weird? He has the same name as the guy that played the Joker. It's the same guy. But I remember pointing to the screen and looking at Andrea Romano's name. I was like, one day I'm going to work for her. And so that, for this to all come full circle and to have worked with literally, not just Andrea Romano, but Lisa Schaefer who did this, to be in the same booth with Mark Hamill, or to be in the same booth with Kevin Conroy, or
Kevin Michael Richardson,
Kevin Michael
Cummings,
Richardson,
Billy West, John
DiMaggio guys. It's like these are, they never would hear, I grew up listening to you, But Frank Welker, the first time that I worked with Frank Welker, and to see Frank, who is literally the most recorded voice, doing monster sounds across from him. And if you, Aladdin, every Disney cartoon, Scooby-Doo,
Freddy.
Fred, has been Fred since '69, and all of the creature sounds you've always heard before D. Bradley Baker were Frank. And when I'm having to do monster sounds across from him, and I just close my eyes and just try to do my best impersonation of what he does, and I open him up one eye and he goes, those are huge days for us. So, Batman the Animated Series is definitely one of my go-to. To me, it transcends generations, it transcends age, it still holds up. I still kind of want some of the animation that's out right now to go back to what Batman the Animated Series and X-Men and Spider-Man in the 90s were doing, because they were so good. Yeah, dude. So that's kind of my love. I yield the remaining time to the floor.
Ever since I was 4 years old, this is what I wanted to do. I pursued it, I loved it. I have a one-man show where I talk about it. It's called Talking to Myself, and fortunately I get to do it at Disney World every year for Star Wars weekends. And I explain my life in that, but I grew up in Santa Barbara where Don Messick lived, and so I got into radio when I was 16. I went to the local radio station, said, how do you get into radio? Started sweeping up, and within a year I had my own show.